Hello everyone, my name is Rachel and I'm a student in the Maryland Family Literacy Program here at the University of Maryland. Today we will be learning new words to use when talking or writing about different kinds of text. We'll focus on vocabulary used to discuss stories and poems. So today we want to be able to identify the key aspects of a text. Knowing the vocabulary that is applicable to the text, for example, a story or a poem, will help us understand what we're reading and how it's organized. First, we want to learn some definitions. Here are some definitions for stories. First, we have the table of contents. The table of contents is a list of all the chapters and their names. Chapters separate long pieces of writing. They can be titled or numbered or both. The setting describes where a story takes place. The main character is the person who we follow during the story. They usually have a problem to overcome. This problem is the issue that drives the plot. This is the thing that the main character is trying to solve. Now we want to look at some vocabulary for poems. A stanza are the groups of lines in a poem. They are usually separate the text into a poem into equal parts. Stanzas are usually 4 to 6 lines of text in length. The mood is the feeling that the poem is trying to give you. For today, we'll be using the book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Since this book is too long for us to read together, feel free to pause the video to finish reading the entire page. We're going to be using Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to practice our new vocabulary terms. First, here's the table of contents. Here we can see that the book has 30 chapters. They're each numbered and have a different title that gives us a hint as to what the chapter is about. Next, we'll look at a page that tells us about our main character. This part of the story tells us about our main character, Charlie. This is Charlie. How do you do? And how do you do? And how do you do again? He is pleased to meet you. The whole of this family, the 6 grown-ups, count them, and little Charlie Bucket, live together in a small wooden house on the edge of a great town. This introduces us to one of the main characters and also introduces us to one of the settings, Charlie's house. Next, let's look at another one of our main characters, Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka was standing all alone just inside the open gates of the factory. And what an extraordinary little man he was. He had a black top hat on his head. He wore a tailcoat made of beautiful plum-colored velvet. His trousers were bottle green and his gloves were pearly gray. And in one hand, he carried a fine gold-tipped walking cane. This introduces us to another one of our main characters, Willy Wonka. Now, our problem in this story is that Willy Wonka needs to find someone to take over his chocolate factory. Let's see this in the text. Willy Wonka says, "Listen," Mr. Wonka said, "I'm an old man. I'm much older than you think. I can't go on forever. I've got no children of my own, no family at all. Who's going to run the factory when I get too old to do it myself? Someone's got to keep it going, if only for the sake of the Oompa Loompas." It's very important to keep in mind these aspects of a story when you're reading. In order for a story to continue to make sense, you need to make sure that you understand what you've last read. If you miss important information in the first chapter, you might not understand the information in the second chapter. Some of the most important information can be these elements that we just discussed: setting, main character, and problem. Let's try an activity for home. Practice using some of the key terms that we learned at the beginning to describe the organization of poems and stories at home. For example, pick a favorite poem and describe it using the term mood, or pick a story and describe its setting and problem. Here are some websites to look at poems and stories online. The link will also be in the video description. Today, we learned about the different parts of a text. Now you should be able to identify the number of chapters, the setting, the main character, and the problem in a story, and also the mood and number of stanzas in a poem. All of these elements help build the story that the text is telling. Knowing this vocabulary will help you to discuss and write about the poem or story that you're reading using the correct terms. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!